Welcome back, guys. Have another video for you today. Our Dodge Charger. We're doing our front struts or shocks. Can't talk today. Replacement. Our front shocks replacement. We used the 19 millimeter socket to take off those lug nuts. They could be different, but that's what I used. This job originally I was supposed to do the full video on it, but I didn't get a chance to reinstall it. So if you guys are looking for a reinstall, it's not there. We only have an uninstall. I'm gonna add a lot of tips, a lot of things that you may not be able to see that can help you take it off and also put it back on. So stay tuned in. As you can kind of see here, that's my customer there. We're back and forth talking, but that's usually what goes on. But right now, I got the tire off, supporting it, and my WD-40. I usually have my my blaster, but I'm using this today to loosen up the bolts. So with the upper shock or strut, whatever you want to call it, the upper control arm must be removed. The sway bar link must be removed, and then also this wire that I'm grabbing on is clipped. It's, I want to say, the ABS wire. It's clipped in there right on the firewall, so you just want to remove that just so it can have more room to stretch, because once you begin to take off the upper control arm, your knuckle will begin to lower down. So a lot of things, cords, anything that's, connected steel that you don't feel like removing, it's going to stretch and it may rip. Then you have to replace that. So right now I'm just spraying everything down with WD-40. I'm about to show you. So that sway bar link's coming out, that top one, just the top. That bolt right there between on the shock strut and the lower control arm. And then of course the now the tire rod, I spray the tire rod. You don't have to take the tire rod out. I'm doing that because I'm doing the tire rod itself, so you don't actually have to take the tire rod out. So just FYI, remember that. So I want to say for the upper, I think I'm gonna do the sway bar link first. The sway bar link, it has a 18 millimeter bolt on it. I want to say 18 to 19 to 21. Could be 21. But one thing I noticed, and I'm going to speed past here in a second, but I've tried to use, I watch many videos. I am a YouTube mechanic. I've tried to use the tools that they use, and sometimes things just don't work for me. So like if it's a 21 nut, you assume on the back it's a 21, open-ended wrench you can use to hold the sway bar link from the back, but for some reason it wouldn't work for me. Usually what works for me, guys, I'm gonna be honest with you, is grip pliers, Glock pliers. Move that rubber, if you're still using that sway bar link, move the rubber boot back a little bit as far as you can get it, and then just go ahead and clamp on there as good as you can. And I'm explaining while I'm not showing, but you'll see here in a second. I'm just checking the size, showing you the size. Yeah, that's gonna be a 21. So that's what I do first before I even get down to taking off the bolt. Just try to check and see which size is correct for the bolt. So I'm gonna speed past here in a second, and you'll start seeing me try the open-ended wrench, and then after that it should be the grip pliers, and then I'll get it off with the gun and the impact. I'll get it off with the impact, but I think I tried to break it loose first with the breaker bar, which you can do, but definitely the impact took it off the rest of the way. Or if you have a regular ratchet with the pipe, if you put a pipe on the ratchet, then you'll be fine. You can use that too as well. So yeah, I started out with the breaker bar, broke the bolt loose. That went perfect. Now we're just waiting for me to get the grip pliers. So like I said, I switched to those and moved that boot back as best as I could and tighten them to the back of the sway bar link as best as possible, right in front of that rubber boot. So right behind the plate that's attached to the shock. You want to put the the grip pliers right there. And as you see, I got it removed with the impact and moved it slightly out the way. And that's all you have to do as far as the sway bar link goes. So next is we're going to do the upper control arm. And like I said, I've already sprayed it down, and I'm sitting here messing with the sockets to see which one fits. I'm going to say this is an 18 millimeter socket. Could be 19 for you, could be 20, could be 21, but this one for me was 18 millimeter. So this one I'm using a regular socket from anywhere, or not socket, I'm sorry, a regular ratchet from anywhere, but I have a pipe on it, so that gives me that extra torque or leverage that I need in order to bust this nut loose, and then I can start taking it down normally once I get it broken free. That's the name of the game. As soon as you get the bolts free, then the job is pretty much easy. That's where the impact comes in. But I use manual tools just because certain areas and certain spots, guys, you gotta realize those impacts don't fit. Some of them fit, some of them may give you an awkward fit. You spend more time trying to fit an impact just to get it off real quick than just taking it off with your hand. So if you can get off with your hand, then that's what I would do. Your hand is always the quickest. And you can see here from the assembly now on how to reassemble the shock and the strut assembly. So you just want to make sure you watch it from uninstalling. So once you're taking off the upper control arm, you notice that I didn't completely take off the nut because I have to use a hammer to hit the control arm the side of it, in order for it to break free. So that's a little different process, but that's with the hammer. A good 3 to 6 pound, 7 pound hammer will definitely get that ball joint popped out of there. So that ball joint right there is sitting there, and that's basically what you do. You hit it from the side, or if you have ball joint remover tools, you can use that as well. So at this point, I have basically my chair right there, just kind of sitting there, just supporting the upper control arm, because once I take off this bolt, the upper control arm is going to fall. It's just going to completely come down. So I have the chair right there supporting any lines that were going to try to fall real quick and rip, or anything possible that was going to try to fall real fast and do something that we didn't want to do. So that way I was able to catch it. And when it comes to taking off the shock, you're going to have to completely let that knuckle fall all the way down. So the chair wasn't really necessary, but I just did that just for my sake, basically. And then I'm gonna put the bolts originally where I took them off on right back on the same part, so that way I don't lose them. Sometimes the bolts get a little confusing and you don't know which one goes where because they all kind of look the same, but that's why I just put them back on. Is definitely helpful. Definitely helpful. All right, so at this point, I'm also going to use my lock pliers, my grip pliers, on taking out the bottom bolt for the shock. You don't have to do this part. I repeat, you do not have to do the grip pliers, because that bolt is actually already, it looks like a bolt, but it's not. It's actually already mounted to the shock, so there's no holding that. It doesn't spin. It's just there, which all shocks should have, which all parts should have. A bolt that's already mounted, and it shouldn't spin, so you don't have to hold it with your grip pliers or whatever you may have used, but that's another story. So I have that on there just because that's what I'm used to. And then of course, boom, we have the impact on the other side. It was a little bit easier on this side to get the impact in, so I used that. Just gotta figure out which size it was for that bolt. I'm gonna say it was a 19. I want to say. I'm gonna say it was a 19 millimeter bolt. Well, let's see here. 19 or 18, guys. 19 or 18. You can just see I was barely able to break that free, but I kept bouncing on it and then pushing it the same way. So I didn't just push and it's not going on. I kept kind of like, giving it a little vibration, giving it a little bit of movement, so I can get it loose there, and then eventually it'll start coming with me. But yeah, I want to say that was an 18 millimeter socket that we use with a regular ratchet and a pipe. Excuse me, guys. Customers sometimes just asking questions. don't relate to what you're doing, but you still have to answer him. So that's why he's in the way. But now he's gone. Okay. And this job really doesn't take that long. There's a lot of back and forth I'm doing. There's a lot of, walking and talking and recording and stuff like that. So you guys don't be discouraged by just uninstalling it. But if you want to do this in 30 minutes, don't expect that. Expect it to be at least an hour or two, at least. So yeah, I have another, just a regular gun or a ratchet, and it takes off certain torque amount of bolts that I don't have to do with my hand, so I use that one. It's a peel one too, so I can get into small places, small sides and stuff. But like you can tell, look at that brake line there, and you can just see that thing is stretched, like it's stretched to the T. So that's why I'm kind of pushing it up, trying to, while I'm working on the other stuff, and not have something snap on me while I'm doing this. And that's why I just kind of want to mention that to y'all, because eventually you're gonna have to bring it all the way down where it is stretched out, just to get the shock out. But for time being, while you're working on other things, I would try to give that as much as play as possible. You're gonna see me try to get tough here and push it up a little bit more. That stuff is heavy, man. Once you get everything unbolted and you try to set stuff up and push stuff up, it's a little heavy. So use what you got, man. Next but not least, we got the 3 bolts up at top. This is for our shock struts, and this is gonna hold in the top part of our shock. They're going to be a 13 millimeter bolt. 3 of them. Right under the hood. And those who are worried about the engine sizes, the same engine, everything, if you have a 3.5 V6, you're good to go. Even if you have a year, 2008, whatever, 3.5 V6, good to go. See, I'm gonna try my best to show you the bolts. Boom, yep, 13 millimeters right there. And you don't take off the middle one. That one's already there. It is what it is. That one stays with the shock. You only take off the 13 millimeter bolts, the 3 that's on around the shock. You don't take off the one in the middle. Stress that, because some people might try to do that. Like I said, before I even try to put the socket on there or try to put the gun on there or whatever, the ratchet, I try to make sure that the socket matches so it can save me some time. Yep, there we go. I even try to be nice and show you guys, even though you can't see a thing. But that's what you want to use. You don't have to use a deep socket. It just helps me. I don't have to get low and dirty. But yeah, you want to ratchet those things off of there. Leave one bolt or one nut on the shock there, just so it doesn't fall all the way completely out. And then you have, we still have wiggle room and play to kind of get it out of there, but at least it won't be falling down on you. I'm going to be different. I'm going to take every single bolt off, of course, and hold it while I'm doing it at the same time to think that that's how you do it. But it's really not. It actually works if you'd have just left one on there. So I suggest that, and then that's when I'm going to go down there and then grab the shock. But okay, so this is the part here, guys, where I realized that it needed to come. So now you see the 3 heads, they disappeared. Three screws on the top of the shock disappeared. So now I'm like, dang, I can't get it out because the chair's in the way or something's in the way holding this thing up. So I'm gonna reset up the camera. I'm gonna remove the chair, let the control arm fall all the way down as far as it can go, and then I'll get the clearance I need to get it out of there, because it's still on the lower control arm. You still gotta realize you have a angle or a path it has to go past, and then you can take it off. So man, it's just great watching yourself struggle when you know the right way. So yeah, you see how I'm getting a little bit more and more and more and more. I'm realizing I'm figuring it out. I'm like, okay, the more I pull down, the more room I'm getting. But eventually, I'll get it to that point where, yep, boom, it's all the way down. So now I got about like 10, 15 seconds with these stress lines to pull this shock out. And there you have it. Thank you guys for watching, man. Y'all come back for another video. Any questions, comments, concerns, leave them there. I'm definitely there to help out. But anything else y'all need, let me know. I'm Travis the Mechanic. Thanks for stopping by, man. It's been a pleasure. See y'all on the next one.